Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We will start from the first characteristic, the type of data. This one might seem simple, but it's actually really important to understand. Because blockchain doesn't store just anything, it's specifically built for a very particular type of data. So what type of data are we talking about? Let's find out. Blockchain is a transaction data store. So what exactly is transaction data? Transaction data is a record of an event related to a transaction. Think of it like a receipt. When you buy something, your receipt records the event, what was bought, when, and how much it costs. That's transaction data. Blockchain stores this type of data, records of events, not the current state of things, but the history of what happened. We'll explore this difference more in just a moment. But first, what counts as a transaction? Let's break that down. A transaction is an interaction between two or more parties regarding an entity. Let's unpack that with a simple example. Imagine you send your friend some money, say 100,000 rupiah. That's a transaction. There's a sender, you, a render, your friend, and an entity being transferred, the money. Or think about it this way. Any to another, that's a transaction. It could be money, it could be goods, it could be information. As long as there's an interaction between parties, we've got a transaction. Here's a classic example. The purchase transaction. When you buy something at a store, what actually happens? There's a seller and a buyer, two parties. They interact. The goods move from the seller to the buyer. The money moves from the buyer to the seller. Both things happen as part of this one transaction. And here's the thing. When this happens, data is generated. The date of purchase, what was bought, how many, and the price. All of that is transaction data that can be stored on a blockchain. Pretty intuitive, right? Now let's look at what that transaction data actually looks like. Or what does transaction data actually look like for a purchase? Here's an example. A record of a purchase transaction might include the purchase date, when did this happen, the seller's identity, who sold it, the item name, what was purchased, the number of items, how many, the unit price, how much per item, the total price, grand total. This is the kind of information blockchain stores. It's like a permanent tamper-proof receipt that nobody can secretly alter after the fact. Pretty useful, right? But here's something interesting. Transactions don't always have to involve money. Wait, transactions without money? Absolutely. Think about a library. Every day, lots of transactions happen there, and most of them don't involve cash. Borrowing a book, that's a transaction between a library member and the library. Returning a book, another transaction. Ordering new books, a transaction between the library and a supplier. Paying a late fine. Okay, this one involves money. The point is, a transaction is just any meaningful interaction between parties. Blockchain can store records of all of these events. This is actually a big deal because it means blockchain can be used for way more than just cryptocurrency. It can track anything. Here's another mind-expanding idea. Transactions don't even have to be between people. Think about human-to-machine transactions. When you register as a new member on a website, you're interacting with a system. That's a transaction. When you update your profile or delete your account, those are transactions too. And what about machine-to-machine transactions? Imagine an IoT temperature sensor in a smart factory. Every few seconds, it records the temperature and sends it to a server. Each recording is a transaction, a machine talking to another machine. So blockchain can handle data from all kinds of sources, people, systems, and even smart devices. Pretty powerful, right? This one's really important, so pay close attention. There's a key difference between transaction data and state data. Let's use a bank account as an example. Imagine your account history looks like this. Add 100,000 rupiah, deposit. Add 250,000 rupiah, another deposit. Subtract 150,000 rupiah, withdrawal. Those three entries, that's transaction data. It records what happened, each individual change. Now your current balance, 200,000 rupiah, that's state data. It tells you the current situation. Here's the key point. Blockchain only stores transaction data, the history of changes. The current state isn't stored directly. It can be calculated from the history. Why does this matter? Because it means the full trail is always there. Every change, every event, forever recorded. One more thing about the type of data, the format matters too. Blockchain only stores data in text format, so anything you want on the blockchain needs to be text. Numbers, dates, names, codes, all text-based. That works great. But what about photos, videos, PDFs? Those are not stored directly on the blockchain. Instead, they're stored somewhere else, what we call off-chain storage. What blockchain can store is a reference, like a link or an ID that points to where that non-text data lives. So you can still connect it to a transaction, just not store it directly. Think of it like putting a sticky note on a box in a warehouse. The note goes in the blockchain ledger, but the actual box stays in the warehouse. Okay, that's for now. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll dive even deeper. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.